Well, look, first of all, we want to make sure that there's every opportunity to try to get these strikes settled. So we're opening the door, we're opening our books as well, so that the information we send to the independent pay review bodies who make the recommendations on pay is actually transparent and the unions can see it, and we hope that they'll reciprocate. In the meantime, we'd really like for them to call off the strikes. But also today, we're saying, look, that there has to be a minimum safety level that people can expect even on strike days, particularly in areas like healthcare, making sure that an ambulance can turn up, for example. That's very patchwork at the moment. Other modern European economies all have minimum safety levels, and we've announced that we'll be introducing those in legislation, in law, today as well.
A number of trade unions have said that this will affect their members' human rights. What do you say to that?
Look, I don't think that's right. First of all, civilised European nations, France, Germany, Italy, Spain, they all have some form of minimum safety levels. And the International Labour Organization, a UN body that the unions themselves sign up to, all say that there's nothing wrong with having minimum safety levels involved when it's a question of life and death. And if, for example, you've got somebody who has a heart attack, maybe a stroke, the idea that there may not be an ambulance coming because there's a strike on, I think is unacceptable. We're not proposing to go the full hog. Other countries, parts of America, Canada, Australia, they have legislation which bans those blue lights entirely from going on strike. We're not proposing that. I think it's very reasonable what we're suggesting, but I think the time has come and it brings us into line with other European nations.
Isn't this just actually rather a lot of political theatre? This is not going to be on the books in time to affect this wave of industrial action. It could very well get blocked by the House of Lords. It could very well be subject to legal challenge. Isn't this just political window dressing? Well,
in point of fact, I'd rather we never have to go down this route. In the most recent strikes, for example, with ambulances, you had the Royal College of Nursing who, in the nurses' strike, did agree at a national level what the minimum safety level would be. But with the ambulances, that was left to a postcode lottery, effectively. And I think it's that's unacceptable. So what I'm hoping is that across the economy, because this would apply in lots of different areas of the economy, I'm hoping actually that unions and the employers can get together and do sensible things in order to guarantee a minimum safety or service level in each different area. That would always be the preference. What we're going to do is take the powers to impose that if required.
I'm going to be cheeky. My fourth question is going to be two questions in one. When do you think you can actually get this into law? And the Prime Minister yesterday made a very strong hint that there will be a significant pay rise for public sector workers this year. What can you say about that?
Well, first of all, in terms of timing, we will introduce this quickly into Parliament. It will be during what's known as this session, in other words, this year in Parliament. Quite how quickly that travels through will be a matter for Parliament itself, but Conservatives have a strong majority. I don't think it would be right to block this. We had it in our manifesto that we would bring in some minimum safety and service levels, so I see this going through. And look, in terms of future pay settlements, we want the hard-working people in our public sectors to be well paid. In fact, you know, nurses, for example, received a pay rise last year, even when, because of COVID, all other areas of public service didn't get a pay increase. The Prime Minister's rightly said that independent pay review bodies is the place to settle this. The government accepts that. But what we're going to do is actually be completely open with our information and publish the data, invite the unions to do the same. I hope have a much more cooperative spirit as we go into the pay settlements for this year, 23-24. So it would be up to the independent pay review bodies, of course, where that lands.